When We Were Soldiers hit theaters, audiences witnessed what many consider the most authentic portrayal of the Vietnam War ever captured on film. Directed by Randall Wallace, this war epic brought Hal Moore and Joe Galloway's memoir to life with unprecedented realism. But beneath the surface lies a treasure trove of hidden stories and emotional truths that most viewers never discovered. From real veterans in the cast to heartbreaking behind-the-scenes moments, this movie contains layers of authenticity that extend far beyond what appears on screen. Today, we're diving into fascinating secrets that reveal just how extraordinary this film truly is. Number 1. Hero who later died on 9/11. The cover of the original memoir featured a striking photograph of a young soldier in Vietnam, but few readers knew the tragic destiny awaiting this man. Rick Racecora, the British-born American hero whose image graced the book, would decades later become one of the most celebrated figures of September 11th. After surviving the brutal Battle of Ia Drang, Racecora built a successful career in corporate security. On that fateful morning in 2001, he worked as head of security for Morgan Stanley in the South Tower of the World Trade Center. When disaster struck, Racecora's military training kicked in. He methodically evacuated nearly 2,700 employees from the building, singing military songs to keep spirits up and maintain order. Racecora was last seen heading back up the stairs to search for stragglers. His body was never recovered, but his heroic actions saved thousands of lives, proving that the warrior spirit captured in We Were Soldiers lived on long after Vietnam. Number 2. 165 miles of film shot. Creating an authentic war epic required an almost unprecedented amount of raw footage that would challenge even the most experienced editors. The production team shot nearly 165 miles of film, generating close to 150 hours of raw material that needed to be carefully crafted into a cohesive story. This massive undertaking meant that editor William Hoy faced one of the most daunting post-production challenges in war film history. Every explosion, gunshot, and emotional moment had to be meticulously selected from countless takes and angles. The sheer volume of footage reflected director Randall Wallace's commitment to capturing every nuance of the battle. Multiple cameras rolled simultaneously during combat sequences, ensuring that no moment of authentic action would be lost. This exhaustive approach ultimately allowed the filmmakers to construct the intense, visceral experience that made We Were Soldiers stand apart from other Vietnam War films. Number 3. The book that shamed Hollywood. Hollywood's track record with Vietnam War films had left many veterans feeling betrayed and misrepresented until one author decided to speak out. Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore was frustrated with how every major Vietnam movie seemed to get the reality of combat completely wrong, portraying soldiers as either psychopaths or victims rather than professional warriors doing their duty. Moore's memoir, co-written with journalist Joe Galloway, was specifically intended to set the record straight. The book emphasized the professionalism, courage, and brotherhood of American soldiers while avoiding the political controversies that dominated other Vietnam narratives. When Randall Wallace approached Moore about adapting the book, the veteran made it clear that authenticity would be non-negotiable. This conversation established the film's binding principle: respect for the soldiers who fought and died, regardless of political opinions about the war itself. Number 4. The Charge That Never Happened. The film's climactic final assault makes for powerful cinema, but veterans of the actual Battle of Ia Drang knew immediately that this dramatic sequence never occurred in real life. Hollywood had added a fictional charge to provide the emotional crescendo that audiences expected from a war film. This creative liberty particularly upset Hal Moore and other survivors who had lived through the actual events. The real battle ended not with a heroic charge, but with a strategic withdrawal after both sides had suffered devastating casualties. Director Randall Wallace defended the decision as necessary for cinematic storytelling, arguing that the fictional charge represented the spirit and determination of the soldiers, even if it didn't happen exactly as shown. The controversy highlighted the eternal tension between historical accuracy and dramatic necessity that every war film must navigate. Number 5. Authors praise the film anyway. Despite the fictional elements that crept into the adaptation, both Hal Moore and Joe Galloway ultimately endorsed We Were Soldiers as the most accurate Vietnam War film ever made. Their approval carried significant weight among veteran communities who had been disappointed by previous Hollywood attempts. Moore acknowledged that while certain scenes were dramatized for cinematic effect, the film successfully captured the essence of what happened in the Ia Drang rally. He particularly praised the portrayal of American soldiers as competent professionals, rather than the damaged stereotypes common in other Vietnam films. Galloway, who had covered the battle as a war correspondent, was impressed by how the film balanced the chaos of combat with the human stories of both soldiers and families. Both authors recognized that perfect historical accuracy was impossible, but they felt that the movie honored the memory of fallen comrades while educating audiences about a forgotten battle that changed the nature of warfare in Vietnam. Number 6. 10,000 gunshots on screen. The relentless soundtrack of modern warfare required an almost obsessive attention to audio detail that most viewers never consciously notice. Sound designers painstakingly layered approximately 10,000 individual gunshot sounds throughout the film, creating one of the most authentic audio experiences in war cinema history. Each weapon system used in the Battle of Ia Drang had its own distinct acoustic signature, from the rapid chatter of M16 rifles to the thunderous roar of heavy machine guns. The sound team recorded real military weapons to ensure accuracy, then carefully positioned each shot in the audio mix to create a three-dimensional battlefield soundscape. Veterans who saw the film often commented that the sound design transported them back to Vietnam more effectively than the visual elements. This meticulous approach to audio authenticity became one of the film's most praised technical achievements, proving that great war films assault the ears as much as the eyes. Number 7. Planting Vietnam in California. Transforming the rolling hills of Fort Hunter Liggett into the dense jungle of Vietnam's Ia Drang Valley required a massive landscaping operation that few productions would attempt. The crew literally reshaped the California terrain, planting thousands of trees and removing existing vegetation to match the Southeast Asian environment where the actual battle occurred. Production designers studied photographs and consulted with veterans to ensure that every detail of the landscape felt authentic. They imported specific types of grass and foliage, then carefully positioned them to recreate the claustrophobic jungle environment that had been so crucial to the battle's outcome. The transformation was so complete that many veterans visiting the set experienced flashbacks, mistaking the California location for actual Vietnamese terrain. This extraordinary attention to environmental detail reflected the film's overall commitment to authenticity. Number 8. Uniforms dirty day by day. Creating realistic battle-wear required a level of wardrobe continuity that most productions never attempt, with costume designers tracking every piece of clothing worn by each actor throughout the filming process. Each soldier's uniform was carefully documented and artificially aged to show the accumulation of sweat, grime, and battle damage that would occur during extended combat. The wardrobe team created multiple versions of each costume, representing different stages of deterioration as the battle progressed. They studied photographs of actual soldiers to understand how clothing would realistically wear and tear under combat conditions. Veterans noticed these details immediately, praising the film for avoiding the common mistake of having soldiers look clean and fresh throughout extended battle sequences. The realistic deterioration of uniforms became another subtle element that enhanced the film's overall authenticity.